Hello, everyone, wherever and whoever you may be, as we spend some time focusing on this second Sunday in Easter. First, I pray that these challenging times are offering us all a chance to consider our life and our world through fresh lenses, and I hope that my thoughts today will help with that. I myself vacillate between getting down into my little micro world of seedlings that I planted in trays that are under a grow light in our guest room, and and thinking about when I'm going to be able to get the next haircut, to pondering the big picture of how we're going to prototype new normals in our families, certainly in our churches and in our public life. If this helps any, I received some advice this week from a weekly e-news that I get from Richard Rohr, and it invites us to see where we are right now, not as if in a prison, but rather as if in a greenhouse, where our circumstances can offer us the time and the space and special conditions for new growth and insights that we otherwise might have missed. Well, let's go into the scriptures for today, namely the Gospel according to John, the Gospel of John that gives us the story of doubting Thomas, as he is so often called. A standard interpretation of this story views Thomas as having doubted his fellow disciples when they told him that the risen Jesus had appeared to them in the locked room where they were staying. The assumption is that Thomas should have believed their testimony, and that unlike Thomas, those who come after him will come to believe in Jesus' resurrection because of the testimony of the Gospels and the church that proclaims them. Blessed will these be who haven't seen, but who have believed. After I read some of the commentaries, I decided to sit with this reading from John and approach it much like we at the Church of the Advocate delve into Scripture when we meet together on Tuesday mornings. We go through a process of Bible reading called Lectio Divina, or perhaps a prayerful reading of Scripture. And so as I read this portion of John, I asked not only, what is the gospel writer saying to us, but also, what is God calling me and us, perhaps, to pay attention to in these words as we hear them today? The first thing I noticed anew is that Thomas is the only one who has left that locked up house where the 10 remaining disciples are huddled away. Now, I'm not saying that we should not stay home and that we should go out at this point in time at all. But looking at this story, these disciples have not moved from the place where they have hidden since Jesus' death, or perhaps even during Jesus' death. They are afraid. Afraid, perhaps, of what the Jewish authorities will do to them because of their association with Jesus, perhaps because they are suspected of stealing Jesus' body from the tomb. And so they are stuck in place, frozen in fear. But Thomas has gone out. Did he have the courage to be seen when the others didn't? Was he the one who took the responsibility to go out and do something that needed to be done? Or maybe he just drew the short straw when an errand needed running. Anyway, there is tension between Thomas and the other disciples because they are strongly embracing different truths. The good thing is that even though it took 8 days for Thomas to encounter Jesus firsthand, they all remained together and waited. The next thing that occurred to me was how Thomas might have felt when he thought, why would Jesus have appeared to the others when I wasn't there? How could Thomas make sense of being left out of this miraculous appearance, if indeed it really happened? But Thomas doesn't dismiss himself and assume that he meant less to Jesus than the others did. Thomas actually holds his place in the group by asserting that until he too has some personal sense of meaning in all this, he won't accept secondhand hearsay. He will be an equal partner in this new understanding. We might think of Thomas as obstinate, but there is a kind of humility in not trusting unverified information, even if it is from some authority. That we can depend on God's Spirit of wisdom to reveal the truth of the matter. There's also a kind of courage to trust in God alone when you must wait for truth to be revealed to you. To stand alone and follow your desire to delve into the facts, and then to be able to affirm that you have yourself grasped those facts or that particular experience firsthand. That is not obstinacy, but it is the right of a person who has full membership and equal voice in a group, full status as a person of God and as a member of Christ. When this does happen, there is a transformation in you. When you are able to make your own authentic assent to something or to someone, and to be able to stand on your own, I believe. People who have arrived at their own core identity, like Thomas did when he was able to say finally, my Lord and my God. People who are grounded in the truth that has met them and changed them. Well, they can come together then to hear other truths, to hear each other's truths. And they can be humble enough to wait together for individual truths to take form, to reveal new understandings, new ways of living, received from God. Like Jesus' new way of being alive was received finally and fully by all 11 disciples together. There's a mosaic at the top of this link, and it depicts Thomas touching Jesus' wounds. But it's different from other paintings, statues, and mosaics of this scene, in that in this one, Jesus, while Thomas is peering at Jesus' wound, Jesus is not looking down, beholding Thomas, but Jesus is looking straight at the viewer. What I get out of this is Jesus might be saying, see here, a person of courage and reason, who wasn't willing to ride on the wave of someone else's experience or someone else's interpretation of that experience. Thomas asked for and he waited for the source of the truth to come to him. And because he insisted on having his moment of truth, and because his friends stayed in community with him, they all got to the place where they shared the truth of Jesus more fully. And their lives were transformed and empowered to go out from that locked room, to move into different places in the world, and to change the world. People are coming together, hearing each other's truths, sharing experiences that I believe will change our world for the better. Restaurant owners and chefs are waking up to what it's like to create, to produce food, not just for profit or competition, but to feed those who are hungry. One chef on national news said, "I hope that after the restaurants open, we will not forget, that we will continue what we have learned from this experience." Churches are waking up to the joy of encountering people not just in the nave and in the parish hall, but through the network of the World Wide Web. We are discovering that joining together in real time and real place versus meeting in virtual time and virtual space is not a choice of either or, but a gift of both and. There is so much to discover together. In humility, let us insist on encountering God's truth. Let us wait for one another in community while that process happens. And in courage, let us allow the truth that comes to all of us individually and collects together among us change us and allow us to bring the changes that God invites us to imagine and to act upon together. God bless you.